Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, folks. We are going to have a great show. First of all, I want you to know, the Senate has finally taken up part of that treatment of the FBI, and it's a sham. I mean, there are a whole lot of things we could get into discussing there. But guess what I've always said? Let the politicians take care of handling all that good stuff about the impeachment, etc. Because as I've mentioned time and time again, guess what? That's not going to put the food on the table of any of our people, the middle class and the poor. What we have to do is keep our eyes centered on the ball. What we have to do is, yes, we need Trump to get what is his due, but at the same time, we can't allow Trump getting his due to distract us for what has to be done, because one has to remember something that is quite and very important. The truth of the matter is, my dear friends, is that don't think every politician out there would not be happy for us to be distracted with so much other things so that they don't have to do what is really necessary for all of us, right? Because in order to do for us, in order for them to perform for us, it means that no longer the corporatocracy, no longer the corporate guys, no longer the big wheels are going to have the inordinate control of the politicians anymore. If we as people, if we the people of the United States, if we decide that we will no longer take the back seat, if we decide that we are going to really make sure that one person, one vote, one person, one vote, then it doesn't matter anything else. It doesn't matter about impeachment. It doesn't matter at all, because it is one person, one vote. And what are we looking for? We're looking for what's going to move us ahead. So yes, let them worry about impeachment. Roland Van Horn, scared Egberto? No, I am not scared at all. My brother Roland Van Horn, not scared at all. I am encouraged. I'm here to tell America that we are going to have a big victory in 2020. And this victory is going to be a victory of people who want to engage. This victory is going to be a victory of people that says enough. This victory is going to be a victory of people that says, you know what? We no longer have to listen to what the neoliberals tell us. We no longer have to listen to what corporate media tells us. Folks, we can do this. But we first have to understand that there's a problem. And yesterday, I got this note, right? And when I got the note, there are times that you get a note that just touches you. I mean, it is something that is rather simple, right? But it touches you. You get it, you read it, and after you read it, you're sitting down there and you're saying, that is so true, but how do I make that material to somebody else? How do I find a way to tell folks, please look at it this way. Don't try to see it in a manner that the corporate media is trying to show you. Try to look at it appropriately. When I got that message, this was a meme that I got. It says, the next time you feel poor and can't fill your gas tank and you hold back tears trying to put together a grocery trip that can get you and your family through the week on just $40, remember that the stock market is at a record high and America is great again. Think about that. Think about what that sarcasm is saying. I replied to that this way. I said in my reply, I said exactly. Only a few partaking of this great economy. Ask yourself a question. Why aren't wages going way up with so little unemployment? Does supply and demand work no more? It is not about economics 101 anymore. It is about rigged economy and population manipulated. And I continue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play the video that I did yesterday on, I did this video yesterday on my KPFT 90.1 show. And what I want to do is, the reason I want to play it here, brothers and sisters, is for one specific reason. I chopped it up and I think I encompassed within this video a bit more of what we need to say. So listen to the video and then we're going to get back. We're going to talk a whole lot more. We're going to talk about Buttigieg and we're going to talk about the special bill, the pharmaceutical bill that Nancy Pelosi attempted to put the wool over us, but we're going to get there. I like that Barney McAvey. I kind of like that national strike kind of a thing. We're not ready for a national strike though, because we have a national strike is only successful with good organization. And we haven't yet, in places like Panama and all of those where we've gotten people into a notion that they can unite in that manner. Right now, too many people feel disconnected from others, and that's what the isms do in this country. The isms in this country keep people apart, and the reason it keeps them apart is it never wants them to get together, because united we stand, united we win. But let me play this from my show at KPFT yesterday, and then we'll continue on the other issues. But please stay with me. We've got a lot to talk about. If you're just joining us, please go ahead and share this. Share this right now. Share this on your wall. Share this on your page. Share this on your Twitter. Remember, we're on Periscope. We're on YouTube Live. We're everywhere. If you're on YouTube Live and you want to be a part of this, baby, go ahead and give us a top chat. Go ahead and say, hey, let's go ahead and make sure Politics Done Right continues. But anyhow, listen to this, my brothers and sisters, and we'll continue on the other side. Let me start telling you. I got a little Facebook message today, right? And it said, the economy is doing great. All these things are happening great. But remember to tell the people who have $40 left for the rest of the week with 4 kids how they're going to make it. Let me tell you something. And I want you to listen to me kindly. It is easy to have in the aggregate that the stock market looks great. And for those people who have strong 401ks that are dependent on the stock market, their monies look good. The vast majority of American citizens, they don't see that. But the people that have a voice in this country, the people who you read in magazines, the people who you see on TV, they have a voice. And for the most part, if they're in the top 10, 15, 20%, they're doing okay. But what happened to the rest? The message says what happened to that woman or man or that family that has $40 left for the rest of the week. And there are a lot of people. Go to Apalache, go to the ghettos, go to the barrios, all these places where people are struggling. So you turn on your TV and you see the markets doing well, and your expectation is that I may keep things away because sometime, somehow, that's going to rub off on me. So I don't want to change things. The market's doing great. I don't want to make any changes because even though I'm struggling, even though I'm dying, even though my kids are starving, even though those student loans are there, things are going great. It just may rub off on me, and it just may be okay. I want to tell all of you that are listening to me right now, you're dreaming. Our problem is systemic. What does that mean? That small word that has big meanings. It is systemic. It is a design of a system that will screw you because it depends on you being broke for that small amount that are doing well to do well, because it's one pot. It is one pie growing at a certain rate. And if they are growing greater than you are growing, you can never catch up. The expectation that you have that sometime, maybe this good economy is going to rub off on you, it's a lie. Here's the deal. Lee Grant just put on my message, stock market 28,000, unemployment low. I want to remind my brother Lee Grant on the internet of one thing. Supply and demand states in a system dependent on scarcity. Where there's scarcity, prices go up for that item that is scarce. If unemployment is really, really low, it means employees are really scarce. And if employees are really scarce, it means that wages
should be going up much faster than they're going up right now. And if wages are going up much faster than they're going up, now that the stock market for the people who have stocks are going through the roof, the average person that is working would be doing much better and wouldn't have to depend on $40 to get them through the rest of the week. So anytime somebody tells you the stock market is doing great and unemployment is low, say yes, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was right. She was wrong in a little bit of the calculations, but she was right. Unemployment is low, and it is true. There are people with 3 and 4 jobs and they still can't take care of their families because the wages are so low. If there's a scarcity in employment, how comes the wages are not going up commensurate with the employment rate? It's a rigged system. It's a system that instills fear in you that you can never ever catch up. And if you ever complain and ask for more, they throw you out the door and they bring something else. Folks, it's a rigged system that you can change. And you can only change it with progressive values. You can only change it where you have an economy that is based on people and not an economy based on capital. But I want you to understand this, because President Trump right now is saying, you can't impeach me. Look how good I did for the economy. He should be saying, look how good I did for my people. And you know who his people are? His people are, hear it, rich people. They are doing wonderfully well. I want you guys to understand what I am saying, my brothers and my sisters. This isn't hate of the rich. This isn't envy of the rich. This isn't any of that. This is saying our economy has a problem and you know it. Americans are not lazy people. Americans work hard. Before Lupita comes into this studio, Lupita is working. Our millennials are kicking butt. They just ain't making no money.
And paying student loans back.
Tell me your story, my dear. You're paying your student loans back. You're still living at home, right?
Yes. I feel like that's probably one of the best options for me, because I have this mindset that I don't want to move out. I don't want that responsibility until I have my debt paid off. And, luckily my dad is very understanding of that, and he doesn't it's like, oh, you need to leave the house, I'm kicking you out. I'm very grateful that I have that, but it is like a heavy burden on me, and it's always on my mind. Like when I'm out enjoying myself, I think about, oh, I still have this payment to give.
My daughter is a millennial as well. It's a responsibility that says, my God, we have to educate people to let them understand what we have done to this generation that was not done to the previous generations. And people get mad. Oh, you're ageist. You're being ageist. Or no, that's not what I'm doing. I'm saying we can fix the problem now. Let's fix the problem. Don't call it a lefty or on the fringe. Say, let's fix the problem. Lee Grant is still harassing by saying, oh, but the wage growth is 3.8%. I'm going to give a wage growth of $1,000. But that wage growth is $900 for one person and $100 for the other 9 people. The wage growth is still 3.8%, but the greater amount of that percentage doesn't go to the average American citizen. Stop trying to defend, my brother, a system that has failed. Let's be honest. Until we are honest, we will not fix the problem. Until we are honest, those boomers and those older Gen Xers who have these wonderful millennials still living at home.
Yeah, and that's why I know there's like this common report that says millennials aren't buying houses, they're not having kids.
Right.
But because a lot of people, I know I feel like I don't want to have that responsibility on my plate until I am debt free. I can't even imagine with the little money that I make now and the payment that I have to give to raise a child. That is impossible. I can't.
And Lupita, and that's what we're saying. If we were to do things right, we could boom this economy if we put the money into the hands of the people. Some people say, well, why were you so irresponsible to take out big loans to go to special schools? Because that's what they ask you to do. Mm-hmm. That's what we asked you kids
and
to do.
I did what I could. I applied for scholarships,
Yes.
But it's very, very hard. Even though I felt like I had the credentials, I was ranked 30 in my class out of 400 something students. I was top 10%. I was involved in school activities. I did all I could do, but it's just very competitive to get scholarships. And even going to UH and going to a local school and living at home and not paying housing, tuition is still expensive. So even with that, I still had to take loans out. I did get grants, but thankfully I did have some grants. But even then, I still had to get loans out to cover the rest of the costs because the grants aren't enough.
Your testimony speaks millions. This is what folks must understand, because a lot of people are just having this stuff in silence. You hear, oh, they're not doing X, Y. There is a reason why. Mm-hmm. As a human, understanding what's going on, that is what we have to do. When I got that message, there's times that you get a message that just touches the heart. When it just says,
Definitely.
wow, all these things are happening. Wow, the stock market is booming. And you see all these great things. And then you say, but look at all these people you know. Some of them you know personally. They'll never see that. And then there are a lot of people who don't want to make a change to the system because they believe they want that goodness, that greatness, that they want that prosperity to rub off on them. They are given that false belief that that prosperity will rub off on them. It's not coming there because the problem is the system. And that's what I'm trying to get over to people. It's the system that is bad. It is the system that does it.
And that is what we have to get over to folks. It is the system that we need to correct. It is the system that creates these issues. Anyway, we're going to get into El Señor Buttigieg. So what is the essence of the program today? The essence of the program is titled today, Pete Buttigieg is a dangerous, smooth-talking neoliberal. Again, Pete Buttigieg is a dangerous, smooth-talking liberal, or rather neoliberal. Pete Buttigieg is a smooth talker. He's knowledgeable, and he's quick on his feet, quicker on his feet than his smooth, slow pace would indicate. His ability to conflate makes him dangerous. You know, I was once a fan of Pete Buttigieg, but he could not keep up his act for too long. I don't know how many of you follow El Señor, what's my friend, Tim Black. Tim Black interviewed a few people that worked on city council with Buttigieg today. You should also check that out on the Tim Black show because he covered that sometime earlier this morning. I kind of just got an indication that he came up. Good show, Tim Black. Anyhow, I was once a fan of Pete Buttigieg, but he could not keep up his act for too long. And for that, I am thankful Buttigieg is the most recent candidate that the media, seemingly on the behest of the plutocracy, is telling us is the one of ones, the viable. Let's be clear, Buttigieg would take us further backwards than Biden, and we will discuss that. How will he take us further? Because he's not a bumbling speaker, because he's a clear-spoken speaker with a very nice air of honesty, and that, my brothers and my sisters, is the most dangerous politician that you could possibly come across. Anyhow, he was interviewed by Rachel Maddow yesterday, and Rachel asked him a prescient question, an important question, right? He worked for a company, I don't remember the name of that company that he worked for, McKinsey and Company, I think it's the name that he worked for, consultant company. And with those companies give advice to other people as to how to make their companies more efficient. Well, he didn't want to know exactly or remember exactly what he did. So let me play you the little segment with Rachel Maddow, and then we'll go to the article from The Common Dreams that better explains it. But check this out.
When you did that sort of cost and overhead assessment for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, a couple of years after that, they laid off like 1,000 people. Was your work part of what led to those layoffs?
I doubt it. I don't know what happened in the time after I left. That was in 2007 when they decided to shrink in 2009. Now, what I do know is that there are some voices in the Democratic primary right now who are calling policy that would eliminate the job of every single American working at every single insurance company in the country.
I want to let you guys know why he should be feared as a candidate who could become president. Let me explain. What he did there was perfect. He was being accused of passing policies having worked for the plutocracy in shrinking a company that laid off 1,000 workers, a high percentage of their workers in Indiana. Now, he didn't want to take that on by himself. He didn't refute it. I don't think that I had anything to do with about it, as opposed to saying, I did not have anything to do with it. And the reason he's saying, I don't think I had anything to do about it, is because he did have something to do about it. When people go into a company to give an efficiency report on what they can do to lower their cost, that is what happens. You lay it out. The company turns it into policy. The policy is executed, and after a couple of years, you start to execute that policy, and that is what happened. Okay? But the mere fact he didn't say, I had nothing to do with it, means he had everything to do with it. More than likely is my caveat, because you know at Willie's Computer Software, at Politics Done Right, what we do here. Anyhow, here's the deal. He then, after he kind of says, I don't think I had anything to do with it, he goes out and he said, but other candidates want to pass policies that will get a whole slew of people laid off. Folks, I want to remind you of all of you who hear things about Medicare for all throughout. Listen to me here. Please don't leave. Please share as we're speaking, because people need to understand this, because they're going to be lied on every cable channel. They will be lied on from PBS right to CBS, ABC, NBC. If you notice, they just did a report yesterday, and Bernie Sanders, they acted as if Bernie Sanders wasn't even in the race. You're not getting your information, your full information from these places at all. Anyhow, what did he do? He says, a lot of people under these other people would lose jobs. And the reason he wants to say that, he's going to say, well, Medicare for All wants to kill private insurance. And if you kill private insurance, the hundreds of thousands of people that work for private insurance, they will be unemployed. Let's get the difference between what Buttigieg did and what Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are talking about with Medicare for All. There's a huge difference. Here's the difference. The bill, I tell you what, let me read the Common Dreams article, because it's going to be made clear there as well. But it's something that I've spoken to many of my audience about before. But folks, I need you. If you're just joining us, to please share. These are information this is information people must hear, because they're not going to get the truth on the mainstream media that's owned by the corporatocracy. They will have us continue to vote against our own interests, and to not trust policies we should trust, because what it means is the plutocracy makes less. The title of the article on Common Dreams was, check it out, questioned about role in Blue Cross layoffs. Buttigieg deflects with incredibly dishonest attack on Medicare for All. And here's what the story says. Asked the question about the potential role his work as McKinsey and Company consultant played in massive layoffs that shook Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan in 2007, South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg deflected Tuesday's night by accusing Medicare for All supporters of being the real job killers, and attacked progressives condemned as incredibly dishonest and depraved. Yes, he got people laid off with no compensation in the aggregate. Medicare for All, whenever private companies or private insurance companies are closed because of Medicare for All, those people will be compensated, retrained, and helped along with another job. That's not what they do when corporations just lay you off. Big difference. I don't know what happened in the time after I left. That was in 2007, when they decided to shrink in 2009. Notice what he's doing there. He left in 2007. They shrank in 2009. That's about what it takes companies to implement massive deductions, massive cuts. They don't just cut people. They have to go through the entire company and see how they can rearrange things. And that's exactly what they did. Anyhow, now what I do know, this is a lie that he told. It's not a lie, but it's a calculated truth. Now, what I do know is there are some voices in the Democratic primary right now who are calling for a policy that would eliminate the job of every single American working at every single insurance company in the country. My God, that is how you inject fear. That is how you lie without lying. While Buttigieg did not attach names to the voices or policy he referenced, it was immediately clear that his criticism was aimed at fellow 2020 contenders, Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, over their support for Medicare for All. And by the way, folks, anybody who wants to call in, do remember that the telephone number is 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. I rewired the system here, so it would be good for somebody to call and test my wiring to see if all these complicated bit of wiring through these 3 different filters and mixers and 3 computers are actually homing correctly. Anyhow, And by the way, we do need some more equipment. So those of you who want to go ahead and up chat me on YouTube, if you're listening to us on YouTube, you can play a part in keeping us going strong by giving us a quick up chat and say, yeah, I like your program. I'm going to give you a little something. And if you are on some other network, you can just go to politicsdoneright.com and say, hi, I'm going to support politicsdoneright.com. But also, please do remember to share. Continue with the thing. It says, Medicare for All proponents were quick to denounce Buttigieg attack as highly misleading, noting that Sanders' Medicare for All Act of 2019 includes support for insurance industry workers displaced by transition to a single-payer system. So they're not throwing people to the dogs. When a single-payer system comes in, they will do the responsible thing. The responsible thing was to say, all you people who work for private healthcare, you had nothing to do with us having a screwed up corporatist killer Medicare or medical system. And as such, we want to make you whole for whatever policies we change. In other words, the disruption will not occur on employees. The disruption will not occur on doctors. The disruption will not occur on nurses. The disruption will occur on the people who have created an evil system. The people that will pay the price for a single-payer system is the people who created a site that says, I am going to profit off of your misery. Remember that. The only people who will suffer a cost under a single-payer Medicare for all system are those creators of a system that kills. Please don't have a sorrow for, who's going to lose their jobs if we pass Medicare for all? It will not be the middle class folk. It will not be the doctors and all those that are in charge, but it will be the people that will stop profiting from screwing you, the people that will stop profiting from taking your money when you least can afford to give it. They will be able to do that no more. And that is why they are fighting. That is why they have poured billions, not millions, billions into protecting the trillions that they have stolen from you, the trillions that they steal from you every few years. That is why they're putting in billions to fight that. You've ever heard of all those ads that you see attacking Medicare for all? Look at the underwritings. It's done by the Partnership for America's Healthcare. The Partnership for America's Healthcare, they are the ones that are funding with monies coming from private hospitals, private insurance companies. They're throwing money to the dogs into that. They're throwing it into politicians, everything. They've got to fight this because people are constantly asking, how could we allow ourselves to be screwed for decades? Folks, when you understand the system, when you understand how this stuff works, you immediately have to say, this is an evil, corrupt system that we have lived with for too long. And in its last grasp of existence, they're fighting like hell. As they're about to die, they're fighting. It's like a dog in the corner. I'll throw everything at you because I'm trying to exist that much longer. I am trying to kill you that much longer. I am trying to have the upper hand that much longer. Please understand what is going on here. I mean, I may say it sort of in a sinister way, but in America, what we have learned to do is evil antiseptically. We have learned how to do evil antiseptically. We have learned how to hurt people without blood. We have learned how to hurt people without it looking bad. We have learned how to hurt people that makes it look moral. When you have the church standing up, when you have portions of the church, the evil portion of the church, standing up for policies, Jesus would say, are you crazy, pastor? Are you crazy, pastor? How can you do that in my name? I am not a religious person. I am a humanist. But Jesus was a good person. To many, Jesus was a Messiah. To others, Jesus is the Son of God. But he did good. He's the one, when the merchants were doing their bad things and credit and all of that, he went in there and threw it all to the ground. He was the first progressive activist that we have really written about in recent time in the last 2,000 plus years. Jesus was one of the great progressives. Jesus was one of the great progressives. And to see how pastors have twisted Jesus into being a capitalist, money hungry, capital before humanity type of person, you have to ask yourself, how did it happen? When did it happen? We have to get it right, brothers and sisters. We got to get it right. We got to do it right. And you know who can do it? You can. We can do this. You know, we don't need to be desperate, or we don't need to start feeling, oh, we can't do this. You know what is the most important thing for us to get all of this stuff done? For us to come together, for us to forget about all the isms that separate us and say, you know what, one person, one vote, working together. Earlier, somebody, I think it was earlier, Barney said, hey, national strike. And Barney was kind of right. Barney was right. And let me tell you why. But we're not ready. And you know, when you effect a strike before you're ready, it can actually be worse, because what happens when you do that is, I tell you, there's a good example of what happens. Occupy Wall Street. We didn't have a hierarchical system with Occupy Wall Street. As a part of Occupy Kingwood, Occupy Houston, etc. We didn't have we had a detached organization. And a lot of people think this detachment worked great. Personally, a lot of people would still argue with me on that. I think that detachment, that decentralization, I think we should have been a centralized decentralization. That's how I think we should have operated, which I don't think we did. Decentralized centralization. And what I mean by, all right, centralized decentralization is what I really meant. And what I mean by that is you have to have a common purpose, because people that are centralized can always pick you off one at a time. And that is what they did. They picked us off in New York. They picked us off in Pennsylvania. They picked us off in D.C. They picked us off in Houston. They picked us off in Rhode Island. They picked us off in San Diego. They picked us off in L.A. And, you know, just one by one, they had a method. And believe me, don't think the FBI and all these guys weren't involved. But that's what they did with Occupy. Occupy did, however, change the narrative. It forced Obama to do other things. Now, so let me finish with this article, and then we'll move on to good old Pelosi and the pharmaceuticals, and how the progressives came and said, hell no. And even though I don't think they went far enough, I understand that in sort of these nebulous times, maybe the progressives said, you know what, we don't have full strength right now, so let's just go with what we have. So I can understand, I can understand just fine. Centralized decentralization leading from behind. No, I don't think so, Lee, but I'll go to these questions and answers after I finish the topics here. But anyhow, so to put it another way, Buttigieg helped an insurance giant increase profits at the expense of workers, they added. I tell you what, I need to read the paragraph before. Buttigieg worked for McKinsey almost certainly led to downsizing at Blue Cross, but he's firing back by saying that Medicare for All will destroy all insurance jobs without mentioning that Bernie's bill contains a provision for compensation, tweeted Jacobin Megan Day, a vocal supporter of Sanders. Continuing. To put it another way, Buttigieg helped an insurance giant increase profits at the expense of workers, Dates added. Now he's in trouble for it, and he's frantically tossing out insurance industry talking points against Medicare for All. Ryan Cooper, columnist for The Week, slammed Buttigieg criticism of Medicare for All as fallacious and said it would be relatively easy to transition redundant administrative busy work jobs to actual productive employment. In other words, we can re-employ all those people in the insurance company, both for the additional work that Medicare for All will require as far as some of these administrative jobs, but also we can retrain those folks into being medical assistants and all of that more impressive jobs that do something, that help people, that cure people. We can do that. It's all we are saying, everything we are saying is positive. We can be so much better. We can have such a very organized system instead of the lunacy. Here he says, it is lunacy to preserve a jalopy healthcare system that is devouring the economy and killing people by the tens of thousands just to preserve a few million pointless jobs, said Cooper. Even halfway decent labor force management could slot them into new positions over the transition. Buttigieg's latest volley against Medicare for All came after the mayor, in the face of mounting pressure, finally released the names of the clients he worked for during his tenure as a management consultant at McKinsey. The list of clients include in Media Post includes the U.S. Department of Defense, Loblaws, Best Buy, Natural Resources Defense Council, the U.S. Postal Service. Buttigieg's first project as McKinsey consultant was with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. All right, it seems like I have a call, so what I'm going to do is try my system and see if I can take this call. All right, caller, I think you're on. Let's see if it works. Come on in.
Hi there, how you doing?
I am doing fine. Who am I speaking to?
This is Billy from Chicago.
Hold 1 second. Let me get your volume a little better. Let's hear it. Go ahead now.
Okay, this is Billy.
How you doing, Billy?
Pretty good. I just have a question for you
Yes.
regarding the Medicare for All.
Yes.
Now, do you think it would be a good idea to enact some type of border protection, to close the borders off, limit the immigration, so we can enact this Medicare for All?
Let me see if I understand what you're saying. I think what you're trying to bring into the conversation is, and tell me if I'm correct or not, but I think what you're wanting to bring into the conversation is whether undocumented workers are going to get health care?
Well, not even that, just even legal immigration. Do you think we could afford having millions of legal immigrants coming here to give them Medicare?
Well, let's put some numbers on that, sir. Let's put some numbers on that, and let me explain what I mean by this. You can go to Great England, you can go to Spain, and all these other places that have universal health care, Medicare for all, single payer, right? And as an American, you get sick, you go in there and you pay a marginal price for the services that you get, nowhere compared to what we get in here in America. So what I'm saying is, I don't want to, a lot of these immigration issues are thrown in there as a wrench. If you want to pass a law, right, you can say we will charge anybody that is not paying taxes, all right, American taxes, will have to pay, and we can sit down and regulate what that's going to be. But I don't want healthcare. If we truly believe healthcare is a right, which I do believe, I believe healthcare is a human right. In other words, if you get sick on the street, I am not going to first say, do you have your papers? I am going to try to heal you. Okay? Now, if you need some kind of a cosmetic surgery, no, of course not. But when it comes to keeping you alive, my humanity, my morality tells me. What is your name, sir?
Billy.
Billy. You told me before. I'm so sorry. My humanity tells me, Billy, there is nothing that you can do if you fall under that's going to stop me from trying to get you health care and keep you alive. So I think a lot of people like to use the carnality of the immigration issue to sort of put a dent into Medicare for all. And I think it is such a dangerous thing to do. And I'm not accusing you particular of this. I am accusing the Partnership for Healthcare America for instituting that kind of thinkology into our minds. It is something that we shouldn't even consider thinking about. We should consider whether all of us are paying into healthcare. Healthcare, Medicare for all isn't free healthcare. And that is one thing I want the Medicare for all people to start preaching. Medicare for all is not free healthcare. Instead of right now we give about $12,000 a year to the private insurance companies, of which they keep probably $3,000 or $4,000 for their shareholders and their investors, etc. I rather pay the single payer, whether it's a government or some nonprofit, $8,000 in taxes for that. I'd rather pay $8,000 in taxes for Medicare for All, where I can go see any doctor I want to see and not ever have to worry about a copay, out of network, in network, and all those things. Wouldn't you prefer that, sir?
Yeah, I definitely agree. My only issue is you're forcing a doctor to take care of somebody.
No,
It's,
no,
it's
no,
not
no, no, no.
necessarily because
No, no, I'm not. And I think we need to correct that as well, right? And let me tell you. If you're a doctor, a private doctor that didn't get that paid for your own education, and you don't want to see somebody, then you should not have to see somebody. Okay? You shouldn't have to. So I'm telling you, as when the law isn't written, it isn't codified yet. I'm saying let's not stop the law because of those legitimate questions you have. I am saying let's proceed with the law and take care of the legitimate questions you have when we are writing the law. Don't you think that is fair?
so you think there should be a private sector and a public sector where there should be a public doctors, and if you wanted to have a private doctor, they can see whoever they want. Is that
Well,
what you're
right
saying?
now, all doctors are private. I am saying all doctors are private right now. And I don't necessarily want to have some new government program that's going to necessarily train public doctors. I am saying, however, if we find out that the private system isn't fulfilling the needs of of medicine, then maybe we should have a track to also have public doctors for which we fund. In other words, we pay that. My daughter is in med school right now. She says when she gets out of med school, she wants to go into the neighborhoods and do healthcare for the indigent and those people who don't have. That's what she says. Okay, but my daughter is going to graduate with over $500,000 in debt. Okay, meaning I paid for her undergrad, she's paid for her second master's and her medicine. She is going to, but she says that's what she wants to do. Now, if there are not enough doctors like my daughter intends to be, then we would have to have a track that way. And what I'm saying is, let's not do something because of all these things, the Partnership for America, those people who are killing us are bringing out. That's all I'm saying. Are you with me there?
I understand. I get what you're saying. I think another issue would be to stop the foreign aid to Israel, to countries like that, where we're funding their Medicare for all their free health care. They got free health
I
care.
am glad you brought that up. Let me can I answer that in two ways. The first way by saying I am not knowledgeable enough about our aid to Israel, exactly how it's used, but I think it's a drop in the bucket. I think that would be mostly symbolic, right? And the reason I don't like to mix those issues is many of us have certain types of prejudices. I'm not talking about you. I know nothing about you. But I know a lot of folks do have certain prejudices that I rather not get into when it comes to this one particular issue. So I would rather solve this issue. On the issue on funding Israel or funding Saudi Arabia and all of that, let's have other activists who are more apt at discussing those issues work with that. My issue is Medicare for all. I want you to have great health care, your friend, your mother, your father, your daughter, everybody.
Okay, that's a good issue. Now, did you hear about the recent terrorist attack in Jersey City? Heard about that?
Yes, I heard about it. Yes, sir.
Okay, and then did you hear about the bill being passed by Trump regarding protecting Jewish groups from BDS?
Yes,
Being able
I
to
did as
protest
well.
with-
I have some issues with that, but I don't want to change the subject that we're talking about today, Billy. So if you don't have anything else to add with this, I need to jump to another call. Is there anything else you want to talk about this subject at all?
Yeah, my name is Billy the Boy, and I like poopy.
Thank you so kindly, sir, and you have a wonderful day, okay?
All right, Bubba.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's go to 805. Come on in, 805.
Hey, what's up? My name's Britt.
Talk to me, sir.
So, I don't know, what do you think about the military veterans who get out and they don't have a battle record? and they can't get seen.
It is
When you
terrible.
go to a NEB.
Let me tell you, sir. I hate to just put it this way, right? But Medicare for all. If you have a country that says medical care is a right, that health care is a right, I don't care if you are a soldier or you're whoever you are. If you are ill, if whether mentally or otherwise, mentally, physically, or whatever, you have a right to health care. So all those problems that we have with folks not being able to get seen by a VA, that they can't be seen because there are no in-network doctors, those things are all gone, sir. They're all gone. If you are a veteran who must see somebody, a doctor, you have the right to do so. Anything else, sir?
No, that was just it. I mean, my mom, she doesn't really get to see a doctor.
And she
And
was a veteran, right?
Yeah, she was in reserves. And my dad was also a veteran, but he had combat.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand that.
Well,
And she needs it more than he does.
Right.
And it's just, I don't understand it.
Let me tell you something, sir. That is what Politics Done Right, our program. Those are the things that we are fighting for. And what we have is a group of people that are fighting like hell to lie to you, to tell you why you don't need it. You live it. Your mother lives it. What we need out of you, however, sir, is these programs that you hear on air, that you watch, like Politics Done Right, for you not to just call in today and say, okay, I said my piece. But when we're doing this, we need your help. We don't have the power of the big media out there. We have to be our own media. We have to do our own sharing. We have to make sure other people are informed about what we're talking about. So what I want to ask you to do is to make sure as you watch these programs like mine, Politics Done Right, talking about healthcare, that you share them. So please know that there are people working on behalf of your mother, on behalf of your father, to make sure that in the long run they get health care, sir.
That's good.
All right? Have a great day, sir.
You too, man.
Bye-bye. All right, folks, anybody else want to call? The number is 646-716-5812. Again, that number is 646-716-5812. The next subject that I need to run to, we only have about 11 minutes or so, is the issue with, I think I finished, I finished with Buttigieg. The bottom line with Buttigieg is simple, right? Buttigieg more than likely got a whole lot of people laid off, and those people that got laid off, more than likely, they didn't get that golden parachute that says, okay, we're laying you off from Blue Cross Blue Shields, but we're going to make life better for you because we're going to retrain you to make you have a better job or something like that. None of that. It's just a capitalist thing that Buttigieg did. Remember, there are a lot of Democrats running. They are neoliberals. Remember that word, neoliberals. They are within the establishment. The two-party establishments are not that different. I'm not talking about the left and the right. I'm talking about the two-party establishments. They're neoliberals. And their intent is to keep the corporate structure as is, which is an extractive structure, which cares more about their capital than they do about humanity. They only care about a few. Those executives out there, the employees are nothing more than cogs. The employees are nothing more than something that brings them income. And by the way, I'm not talking about the free enterprise business people, okay? I'm not talking about that guy who owns that pizza restaurant and turned it into a nice private pizza chain. I'm not talking about that guy who owns a whole lot of washaterias. I'm not talking about that woman who owns a whole lot of beauty salons. I'm not talking about that woman who owns her own bakery and that sort of thing. That's free enterprise. I love that. They run it themselves. They are creating their product. They are making something useful for society. I'm talking about those corporate shills. I'm talking about the corporate shills that sit down in an office and pull strings and make things happen. And you do the job. They do the counting. You do the job. They make the money. You do the job. That's who I'm talking about. But I love free enterprise. I love you owning your own company. I love you going out and doing business on your own. I love companies who encourage employees to be independent in doing what they want to do. And that can happen when you get health insurance away from corporations, where if you have health care provided to you that all of us pay for, you are no longer tethered to that company. You are no longer saying that company is my master. I can leave when I want to leave. It's important for us to get these concepts. Okay, the last thing, I'm going to be quick on this one here. It turns out that the progressive wing of the Democratic Party had to show their oomph. Why? How did they do it? Well, as you know, Nancy Pelosi has been touting, the Medicare, that she passed the drug pricing bill and all of that. They were talking and singing about that. I got pissed off about a month or so ago because I read the entire somewhat of a bill. It's not even really a bill that's completely marked up yet, but I read it. And when you read the bill, what you see is that, wait a minute, this is not a bill written for people. This is a bill written for corporations. It only exempted 25 drugs a year. And those 25 drugs that got good treatment a year could be just about any drugs that probably you don't even use. Well, the Progressive Caucus came and said, you got to include a hell of a lot more drugs into this plan. And they did. They included a whole lot more drugs in the plans for getting the prices better, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it is still not enough. It is still not enough. What ultimately we need is to start with Medicare for All. And after we start with Medicare for All, where everybody have health care, we have to start having these drug companies, these pharmaceutical companies, pay back to the U.S. Treasury what they've stolen. And what have they stolen? Well, most of these drugs that get created are created by our private sector dollars. We give tax dollars. The tax dollars get turned into grants by the health services that go to universities. The universities develop products. When the products look like they have some sort of viability, a private company buys the rights to it and from the university or whatever, and then they go ahead and they make billions off of it. The initial investors get zero. In the private sector, however, if somebody invests in something, they continuously get a return on that investment. That's why when you buy a stock, you're an investor. When that company makes a profit, you profit from what that company makes. But of course, when the government invests in these drugs, and most of them are government invested drugs, they don't pay back anything to the government, right? In other words, they don't pay you back for that investment, but they suck it to you again. So you pay on all sides. You pay to develop the drug and you pay to use the drug. Is that right? Hell no. We have to smarten up. But one of the reasons these guys can always get away with all these things is because most people just don't know. That's why we have politics done right, because the mainstream media can't tell you. How can the company advertising those expensive drugs tell you that you are getting ripped off? Think about that. How can these companies who are advertising for the drug companies tell you the truth if they're making their money from advertising? Makes no sense. Folks, if you're just joining us, please do remember to share all our programs, share the program. And also, if you have the wherewithal, we'd love for you to become become an investor in drugs, become an investor in all these things, right? I would love for you also to become an investor in politics done right to ensure that we can continue doing that. And what I've just done here, folks, is just giving you a little notice here of how you can support politics done right. I've given you the links. I've just placed the links into the thread. You can support us by going to Politics Done Right and just clicking on some method to support us, politicsdoneright.com. You can support us by going to our GoFundMe page. I've included that in the messages as well. Or you can help us by going to our PayPal account. But if you want, we're all the different options that you have to support Politics Done Right. Just go to politicsdoneright.com and you can find a method to support us. We do important work. We are working importantly to inform people because the mainstream media do not have the wherewithal to keep people informed. And why don't they have the wherewithal to keep? Because they're advertising with these people. It's not a bad thing, but you cannot bite the hand that's feeding you. Now, when we get support, we are able to inform people appropriately. We are able to tell folks as is inform them. And by the way, we have a store. You can go to store.politicsdoneright.com. We have cups, we have t-shirts. Our new t-shirt is this one right here. That one that you see with Donald Trump saying, Nancy Pelosi, please don't impeach me. Please don't. That is at store.politicsdoneright.com. Store.politicsdoneright.com. It's a cute t-shirt. I kind of drafted it up and then sent it off to a designer, and she designed it and she drew it, she painted it, and now we have a t-shirt with it. So don't forget to go to store.politicsdoneright.com to pick up that t-shirt. Folks, we need your support. But anyhow, let me go to the board here and go ahead and read some of the messages here. It is not Bernie's message or progressive. It's the way they act. And though immigrants under the bus, why don't we support them in 2016? Well, I don't get that one, but let me continue. Greetings from Puerto Rico, mi amigo de Puerto Rico. ¿Cómo está? Ángela or Ángel Medina. Ángel Medina, ¿cómo estás, hermano? Barney McAveen says the market isn't really going up. The currency is going down. We printed trillions to resolve the Bush financial collapse. You know, that's a very, very important concept. A very important concept, my friend. I wish more people understood what you just wrote there. Oh, by the way, let me put that link in there for the t-shirt. Store. I did that wrong. It's http://store.politics. Let's see. ¿Dónde está? Politics done right. Is it right? .com. There we go. Store.politicsdoneright.com. If you want to get the t-shirt, that is where you can find the t-shirts. Let me tell you, folks, it's worth a get. So go ahead and get that t-shirt as well. And in doing so, you're also supporting Politics Done Right. Anyhow, continuing. Sherry Andra Keller says, every human being needs healthcare at some point in their lives. It is the nature of being alive. We are a monopoly market. We need universal care, 100%. Even 99% isn't sufficient. Insurance companies are not healthcare companies. They are financial services companies. You hit it on the money. They are the middleman whose role is unnecessary except to make profit for their shareholders and You get it, Cherie. You get it. The employees who currently administer claims at insurance companies would be able to shift to work administering Medicare for all. Absolutely so. Personal costs out of pocket for my husband and me are not quite $6,000 per year. His employer contribution is estimated to be around $14,000, so $20,000 for the two of them. We must meet co-pays and deductibles and required to choose our providers based on a PPO. Medicare for all would mean $12,000 for us, so $8,000 less than our current costs, and would eliminate all deductibles and copay, and we could choose any doctor. He could leave his job and start his own business. It means freedom. This is why I support Medicare for all. Cherie Andra Keller, that message goes into my blog. And the reason why it is well written and it's what more people need to hear. It is something that you need to be putting on Facebook, all over your page and everywhere else, because the average American is being misinformed to that. The average American is being misinformed to that true message that you just gave there. And when they get that message, Cherie, when they get that message, it comes home. It comes home. Look, folks, I want to thank you so kindly for spending this time with me. I want to thank you so kindly for being a part of Politics Done Right. I want to ask you so humbly to support us and support that we can continue doing the work that we do. I want to thank you for not only listening today, but for sharing it throughout your networks so that others can be informed like you. What I try to do many times is cut some of this up into manageable pieces as well for those who don't have the entire hour. Oh, I got a call. I'm going to take it real quickly and then we'll move on. Okay, caller, I only have a minute with you. Come on in.
Niggers.
You have a wonderful day, and I sure hope, sir, that you're not having too bad of a day. So, folks, thank you so kindly for being a part of Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies. You have a wonderful rest of the day, and you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.